We're going to get started on the steering wheel. First, we're going to press tab to go to object mode. We're going to go down here. We're going to left click on this layer to go to a new layer. We're going to do 7 to go to top view, go to create and choose torus. I'm going to press period on the number pad to focus in on this. Then we're going to go down here. We're going to bring this down. We're going to see where it says major segments and change that to 12 and press enter. Then go down a bit further, change the major radius to 1.05 and press enter. Change the minor radius to 0.06 and press enter. We're going to rotate this in edit mode, so press tab to go to edit mode. Then we're going to do R and then 15 and press enter to rotate it 15 degrees. Now we're going to press tab to go to object mode. Still in create, we're going to create a circle. This time we're going to create 12 vertices, so go all the way to the top, change it to 12 and press enter. We're going to tab into edit mode and then press S to scale, 0.72 on the number pad and press enter, and that'll scale it down. Now we want to rotate it just like we did before, so we're going to do R and then 15 and press enter. To give this some thickness, first we're going to switch to vertex select. We're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, then S to scale this down. Then we can do A twice, and we're also again going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and you can either bring it up or down. It's not going to matter because we're going to be centering it. Then we'll press A twice to select everything. We're going to go down here, change this to individual origin, then grab it on the Z-axis, hold control and snap it to one of the middle vertices of this torus. So you want to select any of these middle vertices, and what that's going to do essentially is make sure that the center of this object is going to be lined up with this vertex, at least on the Z-axis, because that's the axis that we snapped it to. Now we're going to do 7 to go back to top view. We're going to do Control R, left click, right click, Control R, left click, right click again. Hold Alt and Shift and then right click to select this edge loop because we already have this one selected. Now we want to do Control B to do a bevel and just make a bevel similar to this, and then just left click. We're going to make the center object now, so we're going to tab into object mode, go to create and choose circle. Again, make sure it says 12 vertices. We're going to tab into edit mode, then press F and type in 0.23 and press enter. This time we're going to leave the rotation at the default. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel. Again, we're going to bring this up on the Z axis about that far. Then we're going to do S to scale this down slightly. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and then do S, scale it down again. If you need to, do A twice and then do Control N to recalculate the normals. Then we're going to Alt right click on this edge loop, do Shift D to duplicate it, right click to cancel, just bring it down slightly on the Z axis. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it up some, and then we're going to do S to scale it in some. Then again we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it up and scale it in. Then we'll do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it down, then S to scale it in again. Then what we're going to do is select two vertices that are next to each other. So select one, hold Shift, select the other, and then just press F a bunch of times, and that's going to fill in this area nicely with quad. At this point, what you may want to do is just adjust the height of these. So I'm going to do Alt right click and just bring this down. You can do Control plus and then Alt and Shift right click to deselect this one, and then you can adjust this part as well. What we're looking for is a nice rounded shape to this piece. Then if you want to, you can Alt right click on this outer edge loop here, that's part of this piece, and do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it down slightly, and then just scale it out slightly. Just make sure it's not sticking through this part right here, because if you scale it too much, it'll start sticking through. And what that's going to do is just kind of block the view a bit, because there is a little bit of space here, and we don't want people to be able to see what's down behind this. So now we can do Control L and then Control N to recalculate the normal. One last thing we want to do for this piece is go to add modifier, choose the bevel modifier, change it from none to weight, change from vertex select to edge select, and we're going to Alt right click here and do Control E, edge bevel weight, and go till it says 1 and left click. Looking at this now, it looks like the bevel is actually going to be a bit too big. You can see kind of the shading here where the bevel is actually going to be. So to change it, we can do N to open up the properties panel, go up to the top, and where it says mean bevel weight, this is the number that we set earlier by doing Control E and edge bevel weight. I'm going to change this by left clicking on it and then doing 0.55 and pressing enter. Then we're going to select all the edges on this loop right here on the bottom. So we're just going to Alt right click, Alt and Shift right click, Alt and Shift right click, and then select this edge, and you're also going to have to select this edge by holding Shift and right clicking. Now over here for mean bevel weight, we're just going to left click here and do 0.35 and press enter. Now we can tab back into object mode and we can go to this object. So I'm going to right click on this object, tab into edit mode. We're going to go to face select and we're going to select this interface. For now we can just do the left side, then we can mirror this over to the right side, so it's not a big deal. We're just going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring this in on the X axis towards this piece, and then we just want to scale it on the Y axis to make it a bit thicker. So we're going to do S and then Y and scale this out. This piece has a bit of a dip to it, so what we're going to do is do Control R, left click, right click, go to vertex select, Z for wireframe, select this this top vertex, and then we're just going to bring it down slightly on the z-axis so it has more of a V shape. Not too much, just bring it down a little bit. You can kind of see the center is a little bit lower than the side. Now we want to add some details to this piece, so I'm going to do 7 to go to top view. We're going to tab to go back into object mode. This time we're going to create a plane, so just go to create, choose plane. We're going to tab into edit mode, scale this plane down with an S, and then we're just going to also bring it up on the z-axis. This part's important, so make sure you bring it up on the z-axis. Then we're going to do 7 again to go to top view. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to do S to scale it down again. Now we're going to do Control R and left click, right click, so we have a loop going horizontally down the center. Then do S and then X and scale this out so we have more of a diamond shape. Then if you want to, you can do A twice and scale this with F, or you can even scale it on the X-axis with S then X, depending on what you feel is appropriate. I'm going to change the center of mine to be a little bit shorter. Then when you want to, you can do A twice and just move it around on the X-axis. We're going to do Shift D to duplicate this. Once you're happy, right click to cancel, bring it over here. This one on this side is a little bit smaller because this side's actually skinnier, and then this side's a little bit wider. So this piece is actually a little bit bigger, so we're just going to do S to scale this down and make sure this one's a little bit smaller. And then if you want to change this one, you can just select it, do Control L, and you can either scale it up or down. Once you're happy with that, we're going to go tab into object mode. We're going to hold Shift and then right click so that this object's selected and then this object is now selected. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to go to tools. We're going to go down here and do knife project and also do cut through. So just left click on this cut through option. That'll cut through the entire map. Now what we're going to do is get a better view of this. And if you go to wireframe, you can see the bottom is also selected. That's because we did the cut through option. So what we're going to do is just do I to do an inset. Then we're going to do I to do another inset, this time a little bit bigger than the last one. And we're going to change this from individual origins to the median point. Then we're going to do S and then Z to scale this down on the Z axis. And the last step's just going to be to delete these faces. So we're just going to press delete and choose faces. Now we want to connect these inner edges. So what we're going to do is just Alt right click here and then Alt and Shift right click to get this bottom edge. So now you have the two innermost edges on the top and the bottom. Then you're just going to do Shift Q if you have your hotkey set up, or you're going to do bridge edge loops, which you can find in Mesh Edges, and then bridge edge loops right here. To set your hotkey, just right click and do change shortcut or add shortcut. If you don't have a hotkey, it's going to say add shortcut, so you're just going to left click here, hover over this and do Shift and Q if you want it to be Shift and Q, and then it'll be Shift and Q. Now we're going to do the same over here. Alt right click, Alt and Shift right click, Shift and Q, or bridge edge loops, and that will join these together. If you want to, you can clean up these n-gons. I'm going to switch to vertex select. I'm going to tab into object mode, and we're actually just going to go to tools and change the shading to smooth. Then I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to select this vertex and this one, and then just do J to join. Do the same down here. Select those two, J to join, and just continue through selecting vertices that you want to join together to create quads. So I'm going to select this one, Z for wireframe, and then select this top one and join those as well with J, and do the same here. The last thing we have to fix is take this one and do J to join. That'll be a triangle, but that's fine. And do the same here on the top, and then do the same thing over here. So we're going to select this one and this one, J to join, and then these two and J to join. Now if you look at the bottom, you'll notice that we still have to make these connections here. Instead of doing this twice, we're just going to use the mirror modifier, because we also have to use the mirror modifier to put this over here. So for that, all we're going to do is just do Control R and then left click, right click here in the center, which will give us a loop cut around the whole thing. Then Control R here again, left click, right click. Then we also have to add in edge loops in the center. So we're going to do Control R, left click, right click, Control R, left click, right click. So anything to the right of these vertices is going to get deleted. So I'm just going to do H to hide this, and then Alt right click, and then H to hide that as well. Select the vertex over here, do Control L, delete, and choose vertices. We also want to delete anything that's below this center line and this center line. So I'm going to Alt right click here, Alt and Shift right click, H to hide those. Looks like we're going to need some edge loops on these two pieces right here. So we're going to do Control R, left click, right click, then H to hide it. Control R, left click, right click, H to hide that as well. Then we'll select this bottom piece, do Control L. So you should only have the bottom piece selected. Then do delete and choose vertices. Now we can do Alt H to unhide everything. I'm actually going to delete these two vertices because I noticed they didn't get deleted. So I'm going to select them, delete them. Do the same on this side, select those, delete. So we're going to go to add modifier, choose mirror. I'm going to turn on clipping, and I'm going to turn on this option. We already have it mirroring on the x-axis, so now we just want to mirror it on the z-axis. So now you can see we have the whole piece. We have that bottom part back again, and we also have this mirrored onto the other side. And conveniently, now all the bottom part have the same topology as the top part. So if you wanted to, you could keep this modifier, but I'm just going to press tab to go to object mode and then apply it. And the main reason I'm going to do that is because we can reduce the vertex count. So I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to do Alt right click on this edge loop, and then just do delete and choose dissolve edges. That's going to get rid of all the vertices we created in the center there. You can do the same here, just Alt right click, delete, dissolve edges. These are the center lines we created, just Alt right click, delete, dissolve edges. The same here, alt right click, delete, and dissolve edges. We can do the same here, just alt right click here. It actually looks like the topology is kind of messed up, so I'm just going to do delete and choose vertices, and we can reconnect these by doing alt right click, alt and shift right click, and then shift and Q, because that looks like it got all messed up right there. So I'm going to do the same here, alt right click, alt and shift right click, we'll just delete these, and then alt right click, alt and shift right click, shift and Q. That's going to get that back. So we're going to have to fix that over here too. Same process, you're just going to want to delete these, alt right click, alt and shift right click, delete, and then bridge edge loops, same here. This is the exact same process as we did on the first set, so if you need directions on how to do it, just look at that and repeat the process the entire way. Then up here, alt right click, delete, dissolve edges, and I believe that should be it. Although I did notice here we actually have a little bit of a problem. What we're going to do in this case, we're going to take these two, we're just going to do delete, choose vertices, take this one and shift select this one, alt M, and choose that last to merge it up. Do the same here, select, shift select, alt M, choose that last. Then we're just going to fill in these faces. So I'm going to select these 4 vertices, press F, these 2, and then press F, and that'll fill in that face. So we'll repeat that over here. We're going to select the 2 vertices in the center, delete them, select this one, merge it up with alt M, select these 2, merge it up with alt M, select these 2, press F twice, and we're done. The last piece we're going to make for now, we're just going to go to object mode, and if you want to, you can delete this piece. It's not really that important. So while we're in object mode, if you select this, do delete, and then left click, we can get rid of that piece. That was just to cut the holes in this piece. And I'm also going to select this piece and change the shading to smooth. So in tools, just go down to shading and do smooth. The last piece we're going to do is we're just going to create a cube. So go to create, choose cube. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to S to scale this down. And if you want, you can go to top view with 7 and just scale this down a bit. We're going to move it over. We're going to make it skinny on the y-axis, so do S then Y and make it pretty skinny on the y-axis, and you can do G to move it over a bit. We want this to be centered just like we centered this one, so that the center of this is right there, but it should already be like that as long as you don't move it on the Z-axis. So instead, to change the size of this on the Z-axis, just do S and then Z, and that'll keep our perfect centering of this piece. Then we're just going to go to face select this face and bring it in this direction. I'm going to do Control L and Shift D to duplicate this, right click to cancel, bring it down a little on the y-axis. We actually want this at 0 on the y-axis. I'm going to left click here, type in 0 and press enter. I think we're going to have to make these a little smaller, so I'm going to do shift right click to select this edge, do Control L, and I'm going to change this to individual origin, and then we're just going to do F, scale this down. You can exclude the x-axis by doing F, shift and X, and then just scale these down a bit, and that's probably going to be fine. So I'm going to do 7 for top view, and now we kind of just want to angle this top one to be more like the angle of this piece here. I'm going to go to face select, Z for wireframe, select the face on this outer side, and then just bring it up until the angle matches this piece a bit better. Lastly, we want to have another piece at the same angle but downward angle, so we're going to do Control L, Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel. We're going to change this to the 3D cursor, then we're going to do S, Y, -1 and press enter, Control N to recalculate the normals, and now we have exactly the same angle on the bottom as the top. One thing I'm noticing though is that this part is kind of not hiding in this center piece, so I'm going to do Z for wireframe, select this piece, hold shift, right click to select this piece, Z to get out of wireframe. I'm going to change this to median point, and then I'm just going to bring it over a bit on the x-axis. Once that's done, you'll notice it's not on the other side, so I'm going to do A twice. We're going to do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel. I'm going to switch this to the 3D cursor, do F, -1 and press enter, Control N to recalculate the normals, switch this back to the median point, and that should be good for now, so I'm just going to save this by going to File and Save. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.